Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ricky Stonks, the Ricky Stonks Show. We were going to be called the Tobacco Road Show, but apparently somebody already stole that name, so this is the Ricky Stonks Show. And today, we are going to be talking about football and the best part of football games, as everybody knows, is the very end when you win the game and you weren't supposed to win the game. And the other team was supposed to be better, but they came into your house and they tried to show you who's boss, and you said, nah, today we're actually going to show you that we are the boss. And you upset the better team, and you rush the field. We're talking about rushing the field. Rushing the field is when the better team comes in, and they're like ranked, and you show up. Everybody's at the game, and they all just ball out and beat the shit out of the better team. And then at the end of the game, everybody runs onto the field and just has like a fucking mosh pit. Hard to explain if you've never been to the game, but you're not supposed to go onto the field. But sometimes the students get really excited whenever there's a big upset and you win the game, and they all just run onto the field, and the police are like, no, and the students are like, fuck you guys, we're going onto the field. And so they run onto the field, and sometimes they tear down the goalposts for the field goals. That doesn't happen as much anymore, but sometimes it still does happen. So anyways, today we're going to be talking about the best field rushes of all time. We got them ranked top 10. Took a minute to figure out the grading criteria, but we got it down. We got our 7 factors in ranking the rushing the field. We got the upset factor. Was your team supposed to win? Were they not supposed to win? Did you beat the number one team? Did you beat a team that was better than you? We got some teams will just rush the field even if it wasn't even that big of an upset. You got Oklahoma State will rush the field against Oklahoma even if Oklahoma State is ranked above Oklahoma. That's going to lose you points on this criteria. You're not supposed to rush the field unless you beat an objectively better team, like in Alabama, Florida State, Ohio State, Nebraska, Nebraska in the 90s. Factor number 2, how exciting was the ending? It's this one kind of works both ways because the students actually have a propensity to rush the field more if they know they're going to win the game beforehand. It is pretty exciting when you rush the field and your team gets an interception on the last play, or they block a field goal or something. Some crazy shit happens at the end of the game, like the Iron Bowl, but it kind of works against the actual intensity of the field rush because the students are not always ready to rush the field if they don't know they're about to win the game. So some of these factors are going to be kind of contradictory and will work against each other, but we're going to sort it all out in the end. Factor number 3, frustration factor. This is how is your relationship with the other team? So you got rivals, teams that have been playing against the favorite for many years and have never been able to break through. Your best example with this one is going to be Tennessee over Alabama in 2022. You haven't beaten Alabama in 20 years, and finally you fucking beat Alabama, and the students just go nuts. They rush the field with reckless abandon. They tore down the goalposts and throw them in the river. You've just been trying to beat this team for years and years and years, and finally you get it. So that's the frustration factor. Factor number 4, the chaos factor. This is, are all of your students and fans on the same page when they storm the field? Or are some of them going over here, some of them going over there, some of them trying to take selfies. Some of them are tearing down the goalposts. Some of them are falling down. Some of them are getting cut in the bushes. Is everybody on the same page or not? Because if everybody's doing the same thing, it's not quite as exciting as if you got a whole bunch of people that are all doing different things. That's a little bit more fun. Factor number 5, the intensity of the field rush / speed factor. This is how hard are people rushing the field. If people are like running, like they're trying to save a baby from getting hit by a car, that's going to get you more points than if everybody's kind of just like walking or jogging onto the field. That's your speed factor. Factor number 6, the importance of the game. Some of these games, not so important. You're like, why are you even rushing the field? You beat a good team, okay, but it's like the beginning of the season, or, not really that big of a game, then you're going to lose points for that. And factor number 7 is arguably the most important factor, the goalpost factor. It is a tradition in rushing the field during college football games to tear down the goalposts. This kind of reached its peak in the late 90s, early 2000s, and administrations and schools started to sort of try and crack down on tearing down the goalposts. Nowadays, usually you'll have officials from the school take down the goalposts themselves with like the mechanized. They do it in like their own way. They take it down slowly so that the students can't tear it down because, well, they say that the students and the fans get injured, but whatever. Anyways, if you tear down the goalpost, you're going to get a whole lot more points in terms of our grading criteria for the top 10. So, those are your 7 factors for how we sorted this all out. So we're going to start with number 10. Iowa over Ohio State in 2017. This one was a fucking blowout. And sometimes that can work for you in terms of storming the field because the students and fans have more time to get up next to the field and kind of like press forward and get ready to storm the field before the clock actually hits 0. And that was the case in this game. It wasn't really that exciting of an ending. The final score was 55-24. So the people knew they were going to rush the field a couple minutes in advance. And with about 18 seconds left, they started running onto the field. And you got people coming from every corner of the field, the side of the field. Ohio State players, JT Barrett, they're trying to get out of the way. You got the coach who's surrounded by police officers, and that's one of the best parts of rushing the field is you got these police officers down there on the field that are surrounded by fans, and they're like kind of vulnerable for a minute. And those police, they hate being vulnerable, so it's pretty funny. But anyways, this is a good field rush. Ohio State's number 6. Iowa is 5-3. You're not really expecting Iowa to win this game. I mean, you're definitely not expecting Iowa to score 55 frickin' points. But you got them crushing Ohio State. And the police are trying to get, who's that, Urban Meyer? They're trying to get him off the field. They're like, oh God, don't hurt us. Let us make it to the locker room in peace. But, if they really wanted to stop him from getting to the locker room in peace, they could. That's the beauty of the field rush. And you got a shit ton of fans out there. The Iowa Stadium is right next to the Children's Hospital, so there's a bunch of kids looking out the window who have, like, cancer and shit. We're like, oh, my team, look at what they've done. Wow. Pretty big upset. Not that exciting of an ending, but, you're beating Ohio State. You never beat Ohio State. Got a pretty good field rush in terms of chaos. They really get onto the field in a good manner there. You got most of the fans getting on there. It's a good field rush. That's number 10. Number 9. Louisville, Rutgers, 2006. This one is pretty crazy because what is Rutgers doing on here? What the hell is a Rutgers? But this is when they got Greg Schiano as coach. You got ESPN. How about some respect? That's a good sign, man. You did a good job with that one. So this is one of the few cases in which one of the teams from the northern states is going to show up on here. Usually you got to have southern states or the Midwest because not as much going on over there. But yeah, the main knock on this one it's not that huge of an upset. You know, you're number 15 against number 3. Should you really be rushing the field if you're the number 15 team? That's the main knock on this one. But other than that, it is a pretty big upset. You got a pretty good ending here. And then look at these guys. They're rushing the field. You shouldn't rush the field left. There's a second left. Look at the coach. He's like, hey, what do we got to do to get these guys off the field? And then they'll dutifully run back onto the side of the field. They're not trying to fuck up the game. But that some say that should work against you if you rush the field prematurely. But I don't think so. I think it's pretty funny when they rush the field prematurely. Like, oh, that takes the steam out of you rushing the field whenever you rush the field for free. But not really. You know, sometimes you rush the field before you're supposed to rush the field, and then the clock actually hits 0, and you rush the field twice as hard. So you'll see that here in a second. 2, 1, Louisville dude. He got tackled, and here they come. Look at these fans. They have never rushed the field. This is Rutgers. Look at them storming the field. Schiano's pretty proud of himself. First win against a ranked team since 1988. I mean, this is a big game for the program. Schiano's not even going to be coaching here next year. You know, he's like, how can I parlay this into a bigger deal? You got dudes crying on the ground. Look at this guy. He cannot believe what just happened. So yeah, I mean, the intensity with which these New Jersey guys run onto the field and the importance of the game, that's your big factors here. That's why this gets such a high score. And look how hyped they are. They're jumping around. You got trying to interview guys. This New Jersey cop, he's like, oh shit. Why did I sign up for this? Trying to keep the fans back. You gotta love that about the field rush, is that Number 8 is going to be the Miracle on Techwood Drive. This is Florida State against Georgia Tech, 2015. Florida State hasn't lost an ACC game in nearly 3 years. They're 6-0. They're playing against a 2-5 Georgia Tech team that, you know, Georgia Tech has been kind of shit from like 2004 to 2015. Paul Johnson's triple option offense works against like 3 or 4 teams, but he's kind of on the tail end of his career at this point. And nobody really expected this to be a competitive game. But here you are, 6 seconds left, and Florida State is tied with Georgia Tech here in Atlanta. And they need this field goal from Robert Aguayo, who's a great field goal kicker. But you know, it's a 56-yard field goal. Here he goes, kicks it, and it's blocked. And here you go, number 17 has the ball, and you're like, oh, well, he's going to get tackled, right? But then nobody fucking tackles him. Here's the kicker trying to get him. No chance. And the crowd is going nuts. Like, oh, it's a miracle. And you got the fans pressing up on each other. You know, it's a dangerous situation. That's one of the best parts of the field rush, is that the fans actually need to get onto the field so they don't get crushed and suffocate. This dude has no shirt on. He's like, damn, dude, that was pretty cool. All right, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I need to get out of here. This one, the ending of the game is arguably a bigger... Look at this dude. You're like, can you believe that shit just happened? No, dude. I mean, that was a huge win for Paul Johnson. I mean, big upset, very exciting ending. You hadn't beaten Florida State in many years, and the fans are just flipping out. You know, this is great. It's arguably a better ending than the rushing of the field itself, but the rushing the field is pretty good. I mean, look at these guys. Look at the Atlanta police. He's like, please don't mess with the coach. I don't know why I signed up for this. I'm never doing this again. Oh, that's great. All right. Moving on. Number 7. Number 7 on the list is going to be Ole Miss against Alabama in 2014. This is a pretty good game. SEC. Alabama fans. Not sure what's going on. This is like in the peak of the Alabama dynasty under Nick Saban. And, you know, people will argue about when it's appropriate to rush the field. And obviously, it's not always appropriate to rush the field. But if you beat Alabama during the peak of the Nick Saban dynasty, then yeah, you get to rush the field. You're like, don't rush the field yet. Don't rush the field yet. We got to do one more play. Save us says, just get it the fuck over with, man. I don't want to be doing this shit. You got to run one more play. So, you know, this 11 versus 1, not the biggest upset in the world, but it's Alabama during the dynasty. So anyone beating Alabama during the dynasty, it's a big freaking upset. The frustration factor. You have not been able to beat Alabama for a few years now. And look at the fans. Here they come. This guy's got his sign. And it's a crazy scene. You know, not everybody's going the same way. You got a lot of people doing a lot of different things. Look at this girl trying to help her friend get down. The police are trying to fight people. They're like, hey, stay away. But they're overwhelmed. And that's beautiful. You know, this was a big game. They really rushed the field with intensity. First win versus a number 1 ranked team in school history. That is important. That gives you a good reason to rush the field. Everybody's excited. Everybody's having a good time. Except for Nick Saban. And you're in Mississippi. You know, if you're in Mississippi, this is probably the best day of your life. Like, nothing ever is going to top this. Ah, yeah. Dude's throwing shit. That's beautiful. Alright, so next up, we got number 6. 2011. Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. This is a pretty good year for the Cowboys. And so Iowa State, obviously pretty hyped to have the number 2 team come in here. You'll see Iowa and Iowa State both on this list. And I'm not really sure what the deal is. I guess that in the South, you got these fans who really know historically how to rush the field. They know about the tradition. They know how to get past those cops, even though you got like way more cops in the Southeast than out on the West Coast. They understand the moment. They understand what they got to do. And you got those first few people who break through the lines and are willing, brave enough to go run onto the field. And that's what opens it up for the rest of the fans. But I guess in Iowa, it's one of those sort of flyover states. And like there's Brandon Weeden. I guess that they know what to do. Like they also know how to do it out in Iowa pretty good. Maybe there's just not that much to do in Iowa. I don't know. I think Iowa's pretty nice looking, but I guess not that much to do except run onto the field and kind of run around after the game. So this is a pretty freaking huge upset for Iowa State. You know, you're not expecting to win this game. And it's exciting. You're in double overtime. You're going to win on this last play of the game. You're not really expecting to beat Oklahoma State. And look at this. You get into the end zone. That's a touchdown. That wins you the game. The players are going nuts. Give it a few seconds here. And this guy's getting Gatorade dumped on him. The police are like, hey, can we get in here and then get out of the game? And look at all of these fans. That's gotta be most of the people in town are at this game. Not a great day to be Brandon Weeden. It's a big game. It's an upset. It's an exciting win in double overtime. They rushed the field at a pretty good speed. You're a 6-4 team beating a 10-1. Yeah, I mean that's a big win. First win against a top 2 ranked team. Yeah, that gives you justification to run onto the field like that. And I mean, also you're in Iowa. What else are you going to be doing? Pretty chaotic. Nice ketchup and mustard uniforms. That's a good field rush right there. Okay, now we're going to move on. Number 5. 2022, Tennessee versus Alabama. You got who's this, Hendon Hooker, trying to maneuver his team down the field for one last chance. And this is after Alabama missed a field goal with about 18 seconds left. And then you got Tennessee going the other way. This is a good ending to a football game. This is surprising. People kind of thought you were just going to run it out, wait until overtime, but you got Hendon Hooker moving the ball down the field, and Tennessee's trying to get a field goal of their own. You end up moving the ball, calling timeout with 1 second left. 49-49, you got a chance for one last field goal to win the game. I mean, that's great. Look at the coach. He's like, timeout, bro. But you know, the best part of this upset is really the frustration factor. The fact that you have not been able to beat Alabama in about 20 years. And if you do beat Alabama today, then all of a sudden everything changes for your program. You know? And the kicker knows it. The kicker knows. He's freaking out. Saban does not want to deal with this. He's like, shit, call a timeout. Ice the kicker. Kicker's like, I got this, bro. I got this. The fans are like, he doesn't got this, does he? Bryce Young is scratching his head. He's not ready. So this is a big game. Exciting ending here. Huge frustration factor with Alabama. You haven't been able to beat them in a long time. Very important game. So let's just see what happens here. Who's going to win? This is a Field Rush video, so let's see what happens. You think maybe the Tennessee fans are going to rush the field? Probably. Fucking And again, this is beating Alabama during the Alabama dynasty. You definitely got good reason to rush the field if you win. The kicker's freaking out. He's like, shit, fuck, kicking it. Oh, God, it's a knuckleball. But it goes in. And it's absolutely a party in Knoxville. They got the strobe lights going. They got multiple sets of fireworks. They've been getting prepared for this for 20 years. And then it's pretty chaotic. You got the Tennessee State Troopers trying to guard Nick Saban. Dude's got his shirt off. And this is one of the best post-game celebrations of all time. This guy's smoking a cigar. He's not the only one. A lot of people are smoking cigars. You're not supposed to smoke a cigar here, but, it doesn't really matter at this time because you just beat Alabama. Like, Saban, get the fuck out of here. And I'm pretty sure in the SEC that you get a fine for storming the field, so they're going to have to pay like $250,000 for this or something, but it doesn't matter because storming the field is a tradition. And then another good part of this is they're actually going to be able to get the goalposts down. Not the equipment operators, the people who are officially paid to pull the goalposts down, but the students. They're going to tear it down. People are probably going to get a little bit hurt, but then they're going to take the goalposts and they're going to carry them out of the stadium and they're going to dump them in the river. And that's what college is all about. Doing some stupid ass shit. The only thing is, this was not a huge upset. This was a number 6 team. But, there's no such thing as a perfect field rush. So let's stop thinking there is. We're going to move on. Number 4, 2008. Oregon State against USC during the Pete Carroll era. This is a team that just won the Rose Bowl. Year before that, I think they won the Rose Bowl as well. Year before that, they were in the national championship. Year before that, they won the national championship. This is the USC dynasty. You're not expecting to beat this team. But Oregon State, out in the Pac-10, they've had a pretty good run the last few years. They won 9 games the year before. They were kind of shit in the early 2000s before picking it up. But in Corvallis, Oregon, you get pretty fucking hype when USC shows up to play football. There's not that much going on in Corvallis. You get to play USC during the Pete Carroll dynasty. You best expect that that's going to be a big fucking game. And this was an exciting game, too. They were up 2 possessions until USC scored here with 1:15 left. And they had the onside kick, but dude fucked up the onside kick. Oregon State's got the ball, and they just need to kneel it out. The students have already pretty much gotten onto the field. They're not on the... they're on the sidelines at this point. They've all jumped over They've jumped down from their seats. Mark Sanchez not having a good day. USC was supposed to win the championship this year, but that's getting a whole lot harder now that the Beavers just won. And then look at the intensity of this field rush. They run on... Look at that. Look at the speed. You got thousands of students coming on there within seconds. USC is trying to get the fuck out of there. Sanchez is like, maybe I'll just walk. You better get the fuck out of there, Sanchez. And these kids are hype as shit. I mean, this is Corvallis, Oregon. Have you ever been to Corvallis, Oregon? Nobody has. Look, you got this injured guy trying to get off the field. This is a big day in Corvallis. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Finally, we're down to the top 3. These are the best ones. That's how lists work. Rankings. Anyways, we're going to go to number 3. It's NC State beating Florida State in 2002. And I'm a little bit biased because I went to NC State, and this was the first football game I ever went to whenever I was 5 years old with my dad. And it was fucking awesome. I'm not going to lie. This was the coolest thing ever. Florida State was supposed to be like this big, impossible-to-beat program. They won a championship a couple years before. And it was supposed to be really hard to beat them. But this is one of those things where NC State has actually beaten Florida State the year before and in 98. So some of our students had like an idea that maybe we could beat them. And that's what fed into the ability to rush the field so hard. Because there's a little bit of preparation that was involved. Like the students had an idea when they came to this game that maybe we could rush the field. But it would also be justified because this was Florida State. This was the dominant ACC team. Even though we won this game, Florida State would still win the ACC championship this year. Quarterback was a student named Chris Ricks. Not really the best Florida State quarterback, but still, pretty good Florida State team. And even though we won by 10, this was a pretty hype game. 2 safeties. We just blocked a punt into their own end zone about a couple minutes before this that gave us the 17-7 lead. Florida State had just been shitting on us and shitting on the entire conference ever since we let them in 1991. They didn't lose an ACC game for like their first 4 or 5 years. And when we beat them in 98, that was only the second ACC loss they had ever had. And this was the best NC State season of all time. We won 10 games for the only time in school history, and this was that 10th win. This was a huge night in Raleigh, North Carolina. The biggest party around the NC State football program there's ever been in the entire history of the program. We never won 10 games before this. We have not won 10 games since. Under junior quarterback Phillip Rivers, Chuck Amato. Look at these fans. They're doing the Wolfpack fingers. They're pumped. Most of them are wasted. Got Florida State trying to score in the last few seconds here. Chris Ricks running around. He's like, shit, what do I do? Throw it to that guy. Oh, did he get it? No. Our guy got it. Interception. D'Antonio Burnett. Thunder Dan. I think he broke his leg on this play, but that didn't even matter. You know, the point was that he intercepted the ball. The fans rushed the field early. There's still 8 seconds on the clock. They're trying to tear down the goalposts already. You think that would lose us points in the score, but really, it doesn't. That's part of the contradiction of the field rush. Look at that dude. So we had rushed the field when we beat them in 1998 for the first time. Took those goalposts down, paraded them around. And then in the year 2000, we had taken down the goalposts and taken them about a half mile out of the stadium before students got pepper sprayed trying to get the goalposts onto the belt line, I-440. Police showed up and were like, nah, man, you can't be doing that. Hit them with pepper spray and the students dropped the goalposts. But we hadn't forgotten. said, we're going to get those fucking goalposts again. So here come the riot cops. They're like, hey, you got to get off the field. There's 8 seconds left in the game. Yeah, that is what we call an interception. This is the best NC State team of all time. Adrian Wilson at safety, Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Look at him. He says, oh, I'm going to throw the ball away. Let's fucking go. Dude already has 3 kids by this point. Antonio Burnett broke his leg. And look at these fans. They're all partying. This is a huge party time in the South. Teams in the North and on the West Coast do not know how to storm the field. You got Chuck Amato and this is his original head coach, Bobby Bowden. Originally, Chuck Amato was an assistant at Florida State. That's probably how he knew how to beat Florida State so good and why we have such a good record. Look, the students are jumping out of the stands, tearing down the goalposts. And that's why we get such a good score. That's why NC State is number 3 here. The frustration factor, the chaos factor, the intensity of the field rush, the importance of the game. It was our 10th win of the year, got us into the Gator Bowl, and the fact that we tore down those goalposts. Not only did we tear down the goalposts, we took them out of the stadium. We got both goalposts down, took them out of the stadium, got them a mile down the road, all the way to the intersection of Hillsborough and Beryl, about a mile away from campus. There was apparently some debate about whether or not to take them to Waffle House or the Chancellor's house. Either way, the police showed up with a line of riot cops, got on their long-range acoustic device and demanded that the students drop the goalposts. And I guess probably remembering the pepper spray incident from 2000, the students dropped the goalposts, which may have been the wise decision. It's probably not worth it to get beat up by the cops for a goalpost. But anyway, we're going to move on to number 2. This is Iowa State versus Nebraska in 2002. One of those great Midwestern afternoons. 1 minute left. Iowa State is destroying Nebraska. The quarterback's like, what's the play? What's the play? Dude, it doesn't matter what the play is. The game is over. May as well just kneel the ball. But you're out in the Midwest, it's one of those hazy days in fall. Students ain't got nothing better to do than rush the frickin' field. You got the cop trying to hold him back. That's pretty funny. Dude's already got his hand on the goalpost. He ain't got no shirt on. And this gets a pretty good grade on the frustration factor because Nebraska was really good in the 90s. You weren't supposed to be beating Nebraska. They were talking about steroids or whatnot. Dude fumbles the ball. I mean, come on. The fans are trying to come onto the field. They're like, no, not yet. They're ready. And then watch these fans come onto the field. Look at that. They're all coming onto the field from every corner, and the goalposts are already starting to go down before the clock even hits 0. Look at that Midwestern sunset starting to come down. Dude in a cowboy hat with no shirt on. I mean, it's got everything you want. Seneca Wallace, player of the game. I mean, it's a beautiful tradition taking down the goalposts. America was going to shit whenever we let them take that away from us. The only knock on this is it's not that huge of an upset. 21 ranked Iowa State over 19 ranked Nebraska. You beat them by 22. Wasn't really a close game. But it's about the history, it's about the location, it's about the intensity of the field rush, and about the frustration of these students and how ready they are to take down these goalposts. It's going to take them a minute, but they'll get them down. Don't worry. And with that, we go to number 1, the best field rush of all time. 2008, Texas Tech against the number 1 Texas Longhorns. Takes place in Lubbock, Texas. The hub city. Yeah. And this is just probably the best ending to a game ever. Michael Crabtree snags the ball against double coverage, takes it into the end zone, wins the game. Colt McCoy looking like a little bitch. The fans are going nuts. Mac Brown wants to go out and get a bite to eat. You got the fans who are rushing the field already. There's a second left on the clock. They don't give a shit. They're rushing the field anyway. Like, get off the field, the game's not over yet. We're taking down the goalposts already. You got a cop over there trying to help take down the goalposts. But the game's not over. The fans in Lubbock don't care. There's not much going on in Lubbock. They're ready to rush the field. They've been ready to rush the field the entire game. I mean, look at this catch. Dude just overpowers the defender. That's a backup. What a catch. Oh, tiptoeing against the sideline. And this is the Texas Longhorns. They just won the championship a couple years ago. Texas Tech has never really been this good. They're number 8 right now during this game, or number 7, but they've not usually been that good. So they announced that it was actually, the catch is good. The fans stormed the field a second time. Get out to the 40-yard line and realize, oh shit, the game's still not over. You would think that would take away from the intensity of the final field rush, but it actually doesn't. So, the Red Raiders are assessed a couple of penalties for continuing to storm the field before the game is over. Unsportsmanlike conduct. And this next kickoff will actually take place from way back on, I think it ends up on the Texas, rest in peace, Mike Leach. That dude is a legend. But the Red Raiders will end up kicking off from, I think, their own 10-yard line or 15-yard line. So people are starting to think, shit, man, maybe we shouldn't have stormed the field 2 times already. I mean, they haven't even kicked the extra point yet. Just not much to do in Lubbock. And they deserve something good happening every once and again. Again, just a great catch. And dude just had no chance to guard Crabtree there. They tried to man him up. You're on the wrong side, buddy. Oh. So this one really had everything. The upset factor, the exciting ending, the frustration of never being able to beat this team, the importance of the game, and yeah, the fans are already jumping down onto the field. So you got Jordan Shipley back to defend, or back to receive. You might have fucked up by getting these getting these two unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Still 1 second on the clock. Texas is going to have one last chance. But you're going to see here the intensity with which these fans rush the field is what gets them the number one spot, and is why this is the number one field rush of all time. They're already down up against the sideline. They're ready to storm the field. Nobody can stop them. This is a mob. I mean, where are they kicking off from? Their own 10-yard line? Their own 5-yard line? I mean, that would be so fucking Texas Tech Lubbock for them to... I mean, they're on their 7-yard line kicking off. For Texas to actually return this, Jordan Shipley gets the ball and brings it up. But you'll see, it's going to be fine. It's number one on the field rushes for a reason. It's because Texas Tech's going to win. I'll just... Spoiler alert. Texas Tech is going to win the game. Colt McCoy and Mac Brown are going to cry a little bit and then run away. Texas Tech, not usually very good. Texas Longhorns just won the championship with Vince Young a couple years ago. I don't think Texas Tech has ever been that good since then. This is the best season of Red Raider football in history, as far as I know. This is the peak of it. Beating number one Texas. So they got to kick off from the 7-yard line. You're going to see what happens. Look at all these fans. They're ready to storm the field. So usually part of the excitement of celebrations is the unexpectedness of it, but part of the contradiction here is that the team is ready. The fans are ready. They think they're about to win the game. They're pretty sure they're about to win the game. And that's why they storm the field with such reckless abandon. They're already at the sideline. They're already halfway to storming the field at this point. So here's the kickoff. Squibs it. It's like, oh, let's do a little, rugby. Yeah, no. And here we go. All four corners of the field, a mess of black and red. What is up? The police are taking down the goalposts themselves so that the fans can't take them down. And half the town of Lubbock is down there on the field. The fact that they are so pumped, part of it is because nothing great really ever happens in Lubbock. This was probably the best thing to ever happen in Lubbock, Texas, was rushing the field this day in 2008. That's a beautiful thing. That's what college football is all about. You can be out in the desert, having a terrible day, and all of a sudden, you're part of the most electric moment in college football history. You're having a party out there in the hub city. First win against a number one team. It's history. And so, after all that was the top 10 field rushes of all time. Michael Crabtree. What a catch. I mean, that one was easy there. Number 2 and number 1 were easy. The first 8 were a little harder to figure out, but that's the rankings. That's your top 10 field rushes of all time. And I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. I had a lot of fun looking at the best field rushes. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Ricky Starks Show. And if you had any field rushes you think should have made the top 10, well, you can leave them in the comments, but you're wrong.
No more penalties for this crowd. They can storm the field.
Anyways, still, you should leave them as a comment. I'll argue with you. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye now.